Hey there, it's Elizabeth, and welcome back to another flip through. So, we are in September, and I left you hanging on the last flip through. We were fleeing Irma, okay? So, yeah, I had said that it was tracking to the east. It was going to come through. The predictions were that Irma was going to come through the Florida Keys and then up and skirt the eastern coast of Florida. So we decided to flee and go to the west coast of Florida. But the problem is that everyone and their brother in South Florida was fleeing to the north. And so we had a very hard time finding a hotel. We finally found a hotel. And it was in a little town of Hudson. And they were actually under an evacuation notice themselves, but we just didn't know what else to do, you know? So we took our 4 copy boxes. That's all we had. My kit, my gems, my big handsome, and my 2 pups, and, all of our other stuff, food, water, everything, in our Suburban. And oh gosh, it was a nightmare. But I was keeping in touch with my sweet Phobos sisters, and that was such a godsend to me. And I'd been texting Danny Baytalk back and forth because, we were keeping each other sane, I think, through the whole ordeal, because she was going through the exact same thing. So, yeah. So we stayed that night on the Gulf. It was right on the Gulf. It was a really cute place, and we had a nice time. And we had a lovely fish and chip dinner overlooking the Gulf. And yeah, so then that evening we were noticing that Irma might have been changing her course. Oh my gosh. So let's find out if she was following us. So, getting out of Dodge Part 2. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. She was freaking following us. So her track changed from skirting up the East Coast to now it was going to actually skirt up the West Coast and come directly to where we were at. So, oh my gosh, it was a harrowing weekend. So what we did was we got up in the morning, we packed everybody into the bus, and we headed home. We headed back home. So within a matter of 36 hours, we had driven 5 hours north and west of us, only to find out that Hurricane Irma was tracking, nearly directly at us again. And so we turned around and came right back home. And there was just a small window of time that we could make it back home to our north house before we started feeling the effects of Irma, the outer bands, which could include tornadoes, heavy rains, heavy winds, all of that stuff. So we did make it home around 3 p.m. and we were all just completely spent, and we were worried. And, like I've said before, my husband and I have been through a catastrophic hurricane. So we know what to expect, and it is quite the frightening ordeal. Although I think by this time, her winds had died down a bit. She might have only been a Category 4 when she came ashore. I can't remember. So September 10th was the day that Irma, hit, and she actually... she was wobbling about headed toward Key West, but then made landfall as a Category 4 on Cudjoe Key. That's I think in the middle to lower Keys area, on the Florida Keys chain. And my daughter had made this beautiful piece of artwork with her lettering on it during the storm. And so she was just trying to keep her mind off of it. Because, of course, we did have power, which was amazing. No, Jackson, please don't do that. We did have power throughout the storm until about 10 o'clock at night, I think, or something. Oh, no, I'm sorry, till about 7 p.m. Then it was lights out. So, and it was kind of funny because it was just as things were starting to wind down, the noise from the wind was unnerving, but it was dying down and things were, okay. Everyone was safe. All of that. So that was the most important thing. But yeah, as soon as everything started to wind down, that's when we lost power. So, but we were safe. So we were thankful for that. And then on this day here, let the cleanup begin. Yep. So the very next morning, my husband was off work and still no power. And of course, here's my never forget for September 11th. And then Danny Baytog, she sent me this. Meanwhile, in Florida, it was somebody, a picture of somebody canoeing. We're headed out for bread and milk. Need anything? We did not, where we live in the southern part, we didn't get it very bad at all. We did have a little bit of damage. We had some trees uprooted. Our fencing was blown down in some parts, but we were really, really very thankful. And of course, praying for all of those on the West Coast that were heavily damaged by the storm. Yeah. So we spent all day cleaning up, so, and then, Big Handsome and Sunshine took the shutters down. We got the generator running. So when we get our generator running, it's not a house generator. It's just a small gas powered generator. But we are able to run like the refrigerator and the freezer, to keep our food from spoiling, which is always good. And we're able to power like just minor appliances, the TV, the microwave, which actually is a power sucker if you didn't know that, the microwave, ceiling fans, things like that. So, and let me tell you what, it was hot as Hades during this time because it was in September and Okay, so we did that, cleaning up and all that. Let's see. So yeah, it was freaking hot in the house. Let me tell you that. So then we still didn't know what was going on at the bungalow and hideaway. I mean, all we had to go on was, of course, the footage that was coming over the news of the Keys, and it looked completely devastated down there. So we were a bit worried. But then I do believe that our neighbors called. They lived down there full time, but they had heeded the evacuation and left. But I think that we got a call from our neighbors that said that we just had minimal damage down there. Again, palm tree uprooted, and some other trees uprooted down there. But everything looked fine structurally and all that. So we were so thankful for that. Big Handsome was back at work on Tuesdays, so when he got back home, he and Sunshine went out to tackle our mango tree, and because it had fallen over, so they had to cut it up. All my orchids went bye-bye with that, which was a shame. Poor Big Handsome, oh my gosh, I thought he was going to have a heat stroke. It was so hot, and he's so stubborn, and It was 88 degrees inside the house, and our house faces, like the back of our house faces north and the front of our house faces south. And it's like a cardboard box, so usually where we live in the southern part of Florida, the winds are from east to west. Sometimes they're from the north, sometimes they're from the south, but a lot of times they're east and westerly winds. And so we rarely get cross ventilation in our house, and it's so stinking hot. Even under the fan, it's hot as Hades. So anyway, so then I thought I was going to unpack and clean up, but then I thought, why? It had been such an active hurricane season that I did not honestly want to unpack everything, because what if another storm was going to come? I didn't want to have to pack everything back up again. So yeah. So I sat at the kitchen table this time all day working in my Fobonichi, because I was by the open windows at least. And I was just dripping in sweat. It was horribly hot. But we were thankful that we had a roof over our head and food on the table. So, yeah, my heart was just breaking for those that lost everything in Harvey and in Irma. It was terrible, terrible. Yeah, we've been there and done that. And, it takes a while to rebuild, but it does get rebuilt, So I was so tired that day. And then this day here, yep, you guessed it, bed day. So I pretty much spent the entire day watching When Calls the Heart. Still had no power. I did nothing. I sat in bed with the fan on, sweating. And that's it. And then this day here, yeah, breaking news. This heat is brutal. Not only is it hot enough to fry an egg on the sidewalk, but you can use your mailbox as a toaster oven. Yeah, it was super freaking hot. So it's like all I can say. And there was like no wind, and it was like 90 degrees in the house, and it was just so hot. So I had no energy to do anything. I don't do well in the heat. I have a hard time staying hydrated. It's just, it was a nightmare. So yeah, another bed day for me, just watching YouTube. Um, Beauty Queen had made pancakes that morning. And then, oh, that evening, Big Handsome had brought home, he thought he was going to be so sweet, and he is so sweet. So he brought home a window AC unit, but then once he got it home and unpacked, he figured out the plug wasn't the right plug. I don't even know what kind of plug it is. In all honesty, I don't even think it was American. I don't know. So he was a little peeved about that. So he had to go take that back. And then of course I was thinking of my mom and missing her because it's been 5 years since she left. So yeah, I sure wish heaven had a phone. That would be wonderful. Then on this day here, still no power. And I was like running out of clothes. So I had to actually wash some clothes in my bathtub and then hang them outside because, we didn't have a washer or dryer. And it was a pain in the butt. So yeah, it's just miserable. It's miserable. So, oh, I guess I woke up at 8 and then I just went back to bed until 10 o'clock. Like I hardly ever do that. And then Beauty Queen, she made breakfast again, which was nice. And yeah, I had to wash some clothes in the bathtub. And let's see. Oh, then that evening, my husband, he went and exchanged the air conditioning unit and brought home a smaller one and set it all up and in our bedroom, and it was cooling down the room beautifully. And so we were all looking, because the kids were going to sleep in there too. They were just going to put their beds on the floor, and we were all four going to sleep in the comfort of air conditioning. And that evening the power came back on at 10:30, right? Just our luck. But the good news is that we have an AC unit now. So if this ever happens again, we have a way to get air conditioning. It's really hard on me and my daughter. Like I said, we get dehydrated really easily, and that's not good for us. So yeah, anywho. So then on this day here, it was a Saturday, and we were finally going to go down to the Keys and check on our south houses. It had been a week, so we had talked to the neighbor. Everything was fine, so we were glad for that. You do need like a re-entry pass to get onto the chain of islands, because at this point in time they were not letting any tourists back on the islands. So we headed down there. I was getting a mega migraine. I was so thankful to the Pennsylvania responders. They came around door to door while we were home, checking on everyone to make sure everyone was okay. And then they put up like this little caution tape, just as a marker to let everybody know that that the responders had been in the area. And then we had renters coming like that weekend or the following weekend, I think. Yeah, I had a mega migraine coming on. Oh yeah, so we were like, we were trying to clean everything up, and it was, it was hot. We were all sweaty. We were all irritated. We were all irritating. And then it was like, use your words, I mean, my husband was getting so frustrated. He was trying to fix the gutter on the bungalow, and, he was having such a time with it, and, it was a nightmare. So yeah. No, tensions were running high that day. So let's see here. Let's see. This is just a little. I'm trying to see how long I'm going on for. This was. Let me see. Sent on the 18th of August, but I didn't receive it till September 17th. Yeah, this was from Karen. She had sent me a lot of Kiki K notebook paper and some lovely napkins and everything. It was really sweet of her, but it took like a month to get here. It was crazy. So this day was a Sunday, and we actually, the day before on Saturday, we had just driven down to the Keys, did what we could that day, and then came back home. So, yeah, I still had my headache, but I was able to get my 4 loads of laundry done because, of course, I hadn't done laundry in a week, aside from the little bits I did in my bathtub. And let's see. Big Handsome was a busy little bee. So yeah, he got the rest of the cleanup done. He cleaned the pool. He went grocery shopping. We put everything away. He meal planned. He cooked the meals for the week and he got cleaned up. Oh boy, yeah, he did wear himself out and he paid for it because he was in high pain later on. Yeah. Oh, golly day. And then let's see. Yeah, so we just laid on the couch the rest of the day and relaxed. And then Mama and Papa, they made it back. They had actually left during the hurricane, went up to their main house, and then came back because they had, had work the next day. So they were doing that. And then I'm glad I found Downton Abbey at this point on Amazon Prime. So I'd started watching that. So that was fun. And then let's see. I might just stop here. Yeah. So this was just a Monday morning. It was a normal day, a normal day. Home Alone. Let's see, a fairly usual Monday. Oh, first day Home Alone in months. Huh. I wonder if I should have put weeks there. It hasn't been months. I don't know what I was thinking. Anyway, so yeah, I wish I felt more productive. I was still like trying to, what's it called? Recover from Irma and all of that stuff. And we had just been so busy. Yeah, I spoke with my grandmother. Everything was well with them, except they didn't have their phone or something. Their phone wasn't working still. Worked in my phobo, did my jot journal. I did some I filmed some flip throughs because I hadn't been able to film, all that time. So I don't think, maybe I did film. Maybe I did come on and film something during that time of Irma just to say that we were okay and everything was fine. Maybe I did do that. I can't remember. Yeah, so much that I wanted to do, but we were just a bit overwhelmed. And then my husband's, one of his cousin's children had a little baby, a sweet little gem, a little boy gem. And he was born, he was only 3 pounds, 10 ounces because he was 2 months early. So, yeah. And then I spent the afternoon watching Downton Abbey, which I love that show. And yeah, I was hooked. So, oh my gosh, yeah. And then Big Handsome came home and mowed 3/4 of the yard. So yeah, after that, it was a couch night for us. So anyway, I'll leave y'all there and I'll thank you so much for sharing your time with me. I hope you enjoyed this flip through and I will catch you soon. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.